our gym. Today, we have a very special assembly. Yesterday, our country celebrated Veterans Day. And we have several veterans in our community, and we have a couple of veterans in our school. Mr. Mattricks is one of the veterans. He just came back from a very long deployment. Deployment means when people who serve our country in different branches are sent away to a different country to serve, to make sure that we are safe and protected. So he was gone for a year and a half. That's a very long time. And he's finally back. And we're so happy to have him back. And so I asked him to tell us what he has been doing, protecting our country. So I hope you all can be great listeners, pay attention, listen well, and your teachers might ask you in the classrooms what you learned today. Please welcome Mr. Mattricks.
All right, I've got to get my right slides up here, so give me a second. So, I'm the band teacher here, and one of the band teachers, and I had Mrs. Bernard Stevens stepping for me. She got a leak cable. So, at any rate, the fifth grade were probably familiar with Mrs. Bernard Stevens, and I've had a chance for a couple weeks now to work with the fifth grade. But I want to talk to you a little bit about, and I know some of you guys may not be able to see the pictures, and if you need to move or want to move, you can. And if not, I can certainly put something together that you can look at later in class. But yesterday was an important day for our country, where we celebrate all the veterans that are currently serving or living, all those past veterans that have served our country. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about why we celebrate Veterans Day. But Mrs. Erickson pointed out that yes, I'm a veteran, but you also have another veteran that all of you talk to probably every day. And I don't know if you know this either, but Mrs. Rose Kaler. Where'd Rose go? She just ran the office. Okay. Well, hey, when she comes back in the room, what I'm doing, talking about, I want you guys to start clapping for her, okay? Because she was in the Army Reserves and served and deployed as well. I think she deployed to Germany. So, at any rate, I don't know any of the veterans. I'm trying to find out how many veterans we actually have in the district. But November 11th. Well, go ahead. Thank you. Sorry. The reason we celebrate Veterans Day on November 11th, there was a war back in the early 19-teens, World War I. Now, there had been wars before that throughout history, but for the United States, it was really the first big war that we fought overseas, and was a part of a coalition of countries. So it actually ended on November 11th at 11 o'clock. And veterans from that war would get together every year and remember their fallen comrades, and they would celebrate those that served. And then in 1926, Congress actually declared an Armistice Day to celebrate all those veterans from World War I. We decided in 1954, because we'd already had World War II at that point, and we had the Korean conflict, and they call it conflict because it was never declared a war, but a lot of people call it the Korean War. So Congress then decided to celebrate veterans of all wars. In 1954, they changed it to Veterans Day. And believe it or not, one of the very first celebrations, it was actually our neighboring state, Kansas, a senator from Kansas has proposed it as Veterans Day, was down in Emporia, Kansas. And so you're pretty close to the center of where Veterans Day started. we want to thank you for your service too, okay?
Thank you for yours.
All right, you guys were awesome. That was like right on cue. Nice job. So go ahead and do it. Oh, I want to point out. So the veteran that I'm standing next to here. Well, so I may end up just speaking about this. Any rate, he was a good friend of mine, and when I was your age and got involved with Cub Scouts, Orrin Dillon was a mentor of mine, and I didn't know Orrin was a veteran. I just knew he was a person that cared about us kids and learning how to tie knots and be able to start fires and go camping and things. And Orrin was a scoutmaster most of his life. And he passed away about 4 years ago, but he was a World War II veteran. And I can, again, talk to you sometime later about his service because pretty interesting story. Next slide, please. So a little bit more about Veterans Day. There are 19 million veterans living today that have served in one of the branches of service in the United States. And what I want you to understand, less than 1% of our population in the United States ever serves in the military. So it's a pretty exclusive group. 11% of those veterans, 16 million, are actually women. Currently, the top 3 states are Alaska, Virginia, and Montana. I don't know if that surprises you or not, but certainly we have a large percentage in Nebraska that serve. Would you raise your hand if you have a brother, sister, mother, a father, a grandfather that served in the military? Yeah, nice job. So I will tell you that I think those percentages are higher for us in the Midwest. It's just something that we typically do. This is a picture of Arlington National Cemetery, and we have a lot of national cemeteries all across the United States. So we actually have several in Nebraska too that you can visit. But in Arlington National Cemetery, there are over 400,000 people buried there, and they're not necessarily all veterans. For instance, one of the most recent, very famous civilians that was buried in Arlington National Cemetery because she served her country, not in the military, but as a Supreme Court Justice, was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So there are lots of different kinds of people, but they've all served the United States in some capacity or another that are actually buried in the Arlington Cemetery. Next slide, please. So I used to be able to say there are 5 branches in the military. And as of this summer, there are now 6 branches of the military. And there's a chance that some of you may serve in one of these. So each one of them has a symbol, and the Army is the oldest. As a matter of fact, the oldest branch of the service is the Army National Guard, and that's what I'm a part of. 1636 is when we were established. And then the Army came along to fight the wars in 1776. So the Army is the oldest branch. The Marine Corps is the next oldest branch. And then the Navy, followed by the Air Force. And the Air Force actually used to be part of the Army. They called it the Army Air Corps. And in the 50s, actually I think it was 1949, the Air Force split off and they became their own branch of service. And then we have the Coast Guard. And a lot of people don't know a lot about the Coast Guard, but they do things every day to protect us, literally, on our coastlines. And then this summer, we now have the Space Force. And as crazy as that sounds, that's a very important new branch of the service, and several of my soldiers have actually already transferred into the Space Force. And I think we're going to have one more branch. I'm making a prediction here for those of you who remember this. I think we'll have one more branch of the service come up within the next few years, and that'll be the Cyber Force. That's what they'll call it. So if you like the technology and the computer, the digital world, I think there's going to be another branch there. Just a prediction. Next slide, please. So Veterans Day allows us to celebrate those that have served our country. And we want to give thanks to those men and women who serve and protect our country. I can tell you when I was your age, I'm not sure I really understood. I would turn on the TV, and it was a black and white TV. I know you don't know what that is, but there were pictures of a war going on. It was the Vietnam War, and I was so scared as a kid looking at those images and hearing those stories on TV.
And I remember saying to myself, I would never want to join the military. I would be too scared. I could not do what those people do. And all the way through high school, I was the same way. My dad was, next slide, please. Let me go on to my family, and I'll talk about my dad in a second. But, so you may know my wife. She used to be director of the 18th Museum. She's now at Stewart Museum now. But I have two boys, and I took a picture a long time ago. I bought them Army uniforms to try to make them look cool. But I have a son, Joe, and a son, Sam. Sam just got married a couple weeks ago to Megan, so our family's growing. I've been in the service for 36 years so far, and I'm going to try to serve a few more years. But at any rate, my dad, he was drafted and was sent to Korea, and the stories that he would tell me, to be honest, again, I was kind of scared and I was afraid. So I never thought I wanted to join the military. And when I got into college, I found out that I was not a great student. I didn't study a lot. And what that means is when you go to college, you don't get scholarships if you don't study hard, okay? And then you can't pay for college. And so it was either quit college or join the military to help me pay for college. And the military paid for all of my college, which was awesome. But I had to serve 6 years. And my thought was, okay, well, I'll do this, I'll do 6 years and I'll get out. And 6 years came up and I decided, you know, I kind of like this. I've got some good friends here. I've learned how to be more disciplined. I realized that I'm smarter than I thought I was, and I'm capable of doing better things than I ever thought I was. But I still was scared of going to war. And it was something that I never thought I'd have to do. Really, in the early 90s and the 80s, when I joined in 1986, it was pretty peaceful and pretty calm in the world. Next slide, please. So when September 11th, 2001 happened, and many people in this room weren't even born, right, during that time, it really changed my perspective on why I joined the military, and it changed. And I was ready and willing to go over and fight for my country at that point. When that happened, I can remember my grandpa telling me about Pearl Harbor, and I don't know if you guys studied Pearl Harbor